attached to it.
And actually, I was thinking of Holy Trinity. What's the Holy Trinity close?
Up to your
Holy Trinity close.
we're gonna pour some more late in the day.
I know.
But they will
Like where it's raised.
Louis.
I know a little Jackson.
So he was, from my understanding,
Who's Louis' wife?
I'd like to call this Finance and Legislation meeting to order. Mr. Bayes?
I'm here.
Mr. Ballack? Here. Mr. Bigley is present. We have two small pieces of legislation that we will go through. First one is from the auditor, and it is a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor and declaring an emergency. Chrissy isn't here. Anybody have anything to say? Motion to bring it out?
Motion to bring it out.
Second?
I will second that.
I'll send it. Go, Lee. Okay, next one. A resolution adopting the comprehensive plan Discover Struthers. Need a motion to bring it out.
Motion to bring it out.
Need a second?
I'll second that.
That will go 3 readings.
Not emergency.
Yep.
Very good. And that is all I have for legislation. Does anybody have anything for this committee before we let our guests speak?
I don't know if you want me to go through some.
You can go through whatever you want.
I'm not going to be here next week. So, you are here.
No.
I had a couple of things I just wanted to bring to your attention. We can save this for next time. You all are aware that we did the business facade program for the 50%, up to 50% of the 5,000 matching for the businesses. We had 19 applications. We did award those to Nemens IGA,
Tool and
Tool and Die, sorry. Hertz Tool and Die Spectrochemical, which is also down on stage. Kids Heating and Cooling AC, Sigs for Less, and Youngstown Dye and Development. Chrissy would like a piece of a resolution or something just saying, I know we roundtabled it, we talked about it during the budget, everybody okayed it, but just to be more comfortable, have a resolution in place. Megan and I went over some things today. We didn't find one that kind of fit what we needed to say, so we'll have that ready for next week if we can bring that out so that we can make these people paid. It's been a while. But we were really happy with the response of 19 businesses. Going forward, when we do this, if we are okay to do this again next year and get this in the budget, we want to make sure that the people that received it cannot receive it again for another 2 years. That way we give the opportunity to more people throughout. So that'll be coming next week.
Mayor, I have a question on that. Let's say, and I agree with that point, but let's say nobody signs up for it next time, or we have a diminished list of people who want to sign up. Would we then open it up to those applicants again?
We can make it over. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
I mean, the importance is that somebody wants to keep investing down there,
Yep.
I would say, and I would agree to spread it around, but just at the off chance that we don't get enough applicants, we could then open it back up.
Yep, we can absolutely do that. In this case, we gave 6, we gave 4 at 5,000, and 2 of them were split between 2,500 people and for one part of the project, which really qualified. But some of them are already going up. The Nemens IGA sign is already going up. I believe Youngstown Dye Development, they already had all the power washing done and clean that really up. So some of them are already being completed, but we want to try to get those off.
Sure.
Yeah, we can talk about this more in depth even beginning of next year before the budget comes out. And if there's anything that you guys want to change or add to the application, we're more than willing to go over that.
So everything was given up. So I had a business desk.
Yeah, we sent letters. We were a little late because we had so many applicants. We were trying to find more money to fund more projects, and there was a lot of things that they didn't qualify for some of the money we were looking at. But we were trying to ask a couple different places for that. But that's why it kind of took a little bit longer than normal. The other one I wanted to bring up during this committee, I don't know if this is something we just kind of need a roundtable on, is the dog park, the nonprofit. They received a matching grant up to $30,000, so it's dollar for dollar match. Before they accept it, they just want some kind of yes or no, if we're okay with them doing this at Eagle Grim Park. Before they accept that donation, they have to kind of have
The
something.
one thing about that, the guy who gave the presentation, he said that he would, after a certain amount of time, he would hand it over to the city. So that means we would be responsible for the people in the park. And, you know, they have the free Cooper scoop or whatever. He's not gonna do it for free forever.
And we didn't get a predetermined time on that.
Right.
We just got a,
Well, I didn't like, because that was never said, and then at the end of the speech, he said, we'll turn it over to the city. So that takes them out of the picture. So that means we would have to get
Taxpayers.
well, yeah, the taxpayers, but then we'd have to get an insurance policy on that dog park.
well, hang on,
No,
Bob.
no, that would still,
No, that's a different park, though. It's a park, it's a dog park. And I don't think that would be covered under the,
From my
umbrella.
understanding, and I agree 100%, my understanding is our rider our insurance, they're not gonna have separate insurance. It's gonna fall on the park's insurance. So our insurance is gonna go up immediately.
I would like to see that in writing that it would be covered.
I think we're gonna have to pay for it. Don't get me wrong, but
Is it gonna be an additional cost? to what
Absolutely.
we're already paying?
absolutely.
I mean, it's great that they wanna do that, but they're gonna wash their hands of it after a while.
It's definitely gonna, I mean, as much as, let's just say the startup and the build out isn't gonna fall on the taxpayer.
Right,
Everything else is gonna fall on taxpayer.
sure.
Just be aware of
Yeah.
what we're doing, you know what I mean? And our insurance policy that we have with the park, to my understanding, will basically adopt this, but it's going to make the premium rise. That happens anywhere you put in a dog park. I mean,
and I can speak with them and get all that information to you.
I agree. I mean, I don't know, it probably isn't covered now, and you would have to give it,
but you're not gonna get a separate insurance policy. It's gonna go on our
Well,
parks insurance policy, but it is going to escalate the price.
But I'm sure it's gonna be
I don't know the answer as far as whether it's a separate policy, parks policy, how that works, but I would agree.
Either
there's
way,
going to be an increase.
there's gonna be an expense.
Yes.
More liability.
So,
Yeah.
are we able to cover that expense?
We don't know what that expense is
I can
currently.
definitely call and get that information. I just want you guys to remember that going through the comprehensive plan, this was the number one thing that.
That's fine, everybody wants it, but then do they wanna pay for it?
Yeah. Depending on how much.
You know,
That's- I mean,
that's
we can-
just
I
it.
can call and get that
You know, that's
information.
fine that they want it, but they gotta realize they're gonna pay for it, whether they have a dog or not.
Yes.
In my opinion, we pay a high liability for our park right
Well, it's
now.
probably gonna go up a
So
little more.
it will go up a little bit because of the fence around it, because we pay for fences, we pay for buildings. As far as our liability coverage, it's like $1 million right now. I don't see it going up to 2 million or, the liability insurance will probably still stay at the same amount, you know what I'm saying?
But our premium's gonna rise.
Would you be able to get them up because it would be able to go up for liability and everything?
I don't think it would have to go up. I
You
think,
don't think our premium's gonna go up?
no, because we pay on our liability premium amount. So what you have covered by the liability. Now, if they require us to increase our liability amount, then of course it will go up. But if they said the dog park is covered under the amount of liability we currently have, there would be no increase.
The reason I would disagree with that, Bob, and I could see your point, it's the same amount of coverage, dollar for dollar, correct?
You're increasing the risk.
You're increasing the risk, exactly.
Right, but if we, in the beginning of, end of 2020, we added the gun range onto our policy and it did not go up. So the gun range isn't gonna
Let's
make it
just
go up.
check it
I
out.
don't know that a dog park would.
Is that
But
open
we
to the
can
public
check.
though?
It
Well,
wasn't
if a dog bites somebody up at Monty Park
No, I
right
mean,
now,
the
we're
gun
covered.
range,
Okay.
is it open to the public?
Not now, it's not.
See,
But
well,
it's
that's
still,
different story.
but it's still.
It's a different
Right.
story.
Right.
Listen, if that,
Professionals are using the gun range.
but let's get a price, that way everybody's comfortable with
Yeah,
making
I
their
would-
decision. Fair enough?
I'm good with that.
No,
Please?
like you're not on council.
So why doesn't the insurance go up now, even though,
It will. When the dog park comes on, in my opinion,
yeah,
it will immediately.
I mean, I would think it would immediately go up.
I don't know if it's gonna go up crazy, but I can guarantee there's more risk, there's more
So
premium.
what you're saying, that's gonna fall back on the
We're gonna have to
taxpayers.
come
On the taxpayer, yeah.
But that's gonna, in theory, it's gonna fall back on the taxpayer no matter where the park goes.
Right.
Keep
No,
that in
absolutely,
mind.
yeah.
So,
No, I
they're
don't have a problem where it's at.
yeah,
The cost is gonna be
But I'm saying if we agree to accept this at any park or any place in Struthers, our insurance liability premium.
And I can get all those numbers, but we're looking at, if we're really looking at transforming all of our parks and adding to all of our parks, then the same thing's gonna happen with the splash pad, the same thing's gonna happen with any new equipment, the same thing's gonna happen with anything, it's still a benefit to the community. And
I
it's
would
still
agree.
something that we want, because that's, even with looking at the splash pad, that, if it's gonna go up for one.
But I also think that you're right and Bob's right. Bob's right in the regard that we need to know what it's gonna cost and make sure that the juice is worth the squeeze. In fact, getting a dog park is actually worth what we're gonna pay to have it. Because like you did bring up, not everybody has a dog. Not everybody needs to take their dog to a dog park. So you're only dealing with a fraction of people in the city, and it's probably a small fraction at that. So we wanna make sure if it's gonna be a cost that is bared by all of the city, that it's worth it for just that fraction.
Right.
Make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So if you could give us a price, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yep, absolutely.
We gotta worry about one thing, getting that renewal passed for the streets.
We usually don't have- we do not have a
Because
problem
if
with
people think that they're gonna get more taxed, then
We usually don't have a problem. That's one thing that the taxpayers really, I think they do.
yeah.
And it's just a renewal, if it was going up, then we'd have to put more education, but we have, our voters, I think, are pretty responsible when it comes to what they're voting for.
I do. I agree. I mean, look at the fire station had no problem.
I mean, sometimes you're not happy with streets,
Nah.
but it's gonna happen eventually.
Yeah.
You only go so far with this stuff.
Mine hasn't been paid for 30 years.
We can't show favoritism, Bob. I mean,
Well, I think we should start doing at least one dead end road a year.
I don't disagree. What else?
I have one more thing. The other thing I wanted to bring up, I know when we went over the budget at the beginning of the year, we talked about looking over it again in June. The one thing I wanted to ask council, if you guys would be okay approving a 3% retroactive raise for the street department, for the four individuals there. Talking to Chrissy, she said we can definitely afford from the auto gas fund. That was something we were waiting to see if it could be done. We talked with, we had the renegotiation with the police department. We're doing the fire department and wastewater this year and dispatch last year. So I wanted to see if you guys would all be okay with us doing that.
What's the
for
last
street
thing they had
department.
to raise?
Nobody got a raise last year. So this isn't just adding to the departments because everybody else did. They're the only ones that aren't part of the union and wanted to see. We have the fund is there.
And
It's not-
currently their fund is self-sufficient where they're not taken out of our general fund.
That could be a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer, it's right.
Yeah,
You guys are okay with it?
I'm okay with
it. Okay, then I just had two things I wanted to bring up really quickly.
Mayor, that will be retroactive back to the first year.
We did get another wastewater grant through KO Consulting. They got us $250,000 for the department again. We're very happy about that. We're sending in the final application. We were 4th on a list of 8 that they approved. And then we also got from KO a FEMA grant for $123,000. The problem is we're trying to figure out what it's for. Because we applied for so many things through that system. We're trying to kind of narrow it down and see what it's for. So we had a little pickup with one of the portals, which we have a meeting tomorrow morning to figure out. The county land bank, we have 8 homes on the list for demo. We're hoping to get the money for that next year. And 2 parcels, the triangular parcel by the kayak launch, to get that. That's the only part of that whole section that's not clean land, clean brownfield. And then we're also adding the 28 acres onto that too for extra, if there's extra money for brownfield, so they can go in a little bit deeper there. You all have a list here, an updated list from KO to show what we've applied for, what's been submitted, what is pending. It's been going pretty well. I don't know if you want me to continue just every so often, give you these updates.
That'd be good.
I believe Kristen's gonna come at either the end of the year to let you know how everything has been going, but it's on our end. The more money, the better. A lot of things that we've applied for in the past are now coming to fruition. So we have got a lot of major grants that we haven't before. Good and the bad with it, we also have our percentage match on a lot of them, but because we're receiving so many federal dollars this year, we're way over the limit, so we're going to have to do a federal audit next year. Because of all the money, which is good, it's a good thing. But I just wanted you guys to be aware that that's going to. There's just a little side note, if you've seen some of the things, we have a resident who's been painting some things for stormwater education. So these are some of the things she's going to be working on, the sit downtown sign. I can pass that around so you guys can see that. But it's going to be a lot cleaner than it has been in the past. That's all I have.
I've seen it on Elm Street. It looks very good.
Now, some of these grants that we did apply for, it says declined here, are we able to apply for them again
Next year.
next year?
Yes. Those are, a lot of those are recurring. So like, I believe ODNR is on there.
Like the Monkey Park splash pad, it says declined.
Yes, so the splash pad is actually, for some reason or another, the last time they had the capital budget, they approved 11 splash pads. It's kind of good that we didn't get one of
We're not
those in
ready
the
for it
beginning.
yet?
Well, no, because we're taking what Niles didn't like about theirs, what Warren didn't like
Right.
about theirs, and making sure we don't do some of those
Screw up.
things and take
I
the
got
good
you.
part of that. So we are putting that on the capital budget request for next year. And we think capital budget, but if they're approving it and they're letting it go through, why not? We're just gonna add it to the list. Along with our wastewater study, phase 2 for the Judith Lane, 5th Street, that we've been looking everywhere for that money too. So that's gonna be our #1 priority going forward, and that's gonna be our #1 ask for the capital budget.
Mayor, when you brought up the 8 houses demoed this year coming up, we will be getting our reimbursement from mixed apartments or from the county at some point too as well,
Yes, so
correct?
wait, we submitted everything that they have asked for. I don't believe we've got that yet.
Okay.
We may have, I just haven't.
But we're still in line to get that back, and that will be coming supposedly this
Yes.
year, correct?
But if the county is willing to pay for the demos that we have, now there's 8 houses, we submitted them. That doesn't mean we need to demo all of them. There are some that are never going to be able to be fixed. There's one in Chestnut, there's a couple here and there that need to come down. But if they're paying for that, we won't need as much in the demo budget
Okay.
next year.
Oh, these are county, tore down by the county?
Yes, the county.
Because the county got money from the state.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that
Great.
one on 7th Street on there? You know where I'm talking about, on 7th.
I think so. What's the name?
No, I don't think that was on the list.
No.
No, because he's currently disabled.
He have what?
He's disabled. He cut his finger off.
The owner?
Yes.
I can get you the list of houses, because we just submitted them, they had to be in by the 31st, so I just submitted them at the beginning of last week. Our Billy's been working on that list. I'll get it for you.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else, anything for this committee?
I see we have an ordinance from, I'm gonna mention it. It's a vacant building ordinance that I got from another community, and I would like for you to look it over. I don't think it's real aggressive. The first year cost for a person would be nothing, just the registration. I mean, there's no fees or anything. And I think it's gradually just increases the fees. If the building's gonna be vacant for a long time, then the fees start coming in. Read it over. If you're really willing to accept something, I think we need it, and I would hope that you see the need for it, and this language is not as aggressive as you may have thought. So if you read it over, we can put it in language for the city of Struthers. No. I don't want to take the time of putting it into language if you're not open to it at all.
Bob, I will read it, I
Yes.
promise you I will.
You might be pleasantly surprised.
I will, bare minimum, I will read
It's
it.
not very invasive or anything else. It's just minor little things.
Anybody else? Okay, our guest can speak at this time. And Mayor, would you like to introduce everybody?
I'll let you guys introduce. I don't know if you want to start.
Best to stand up
Go
here.
ahead. You can stand. Well, if you want them to stand.
Yeah, sure, wherever
If you
you
guys
have the
want to,
most room. You
is the
can come
cameras
over
up there?
here.
Oh,
So if you
wherever
wanna
you
be
Yeah, there's a camera right there,
Over
so
here?
that way everybody can see it.
Yeah, I hope I got
Pointed right at me, so just,
It's yellow right now, so.
Oh, we
Gotta keep an eye on it.
It's not you, it's Ronnie.
Just like the news.
I talked to Ryan real quick on that.
I'll be like Bob Barker, I'll be the MC. My name's Ted Roberts, I'm a lawyer. My clients are Andrea and Anthony Bachman, sitting behind you, and they'll move over here. You have before you a letter that we sent to the mayor a few weeks ago, and it describes why we're here. And it involves a building at the corner of 5th and West Wilson, on the southwest corner of West Wilson and 5th, across from St. Nicholas Church. And as you know, it's been there a long time. It's a multi-unit residential building. Used to be for senior citizens nursing home. About 10 years ago, council adopted an ordinance in 2013 changing the zone from C1 to C. And C allows apartment houses, dormitories, hotels, things like that. And that fits what it's being used for, student housing, for the last 10 years. And Andrea's going to tell you about the use that her foundation, Andrea Mahone Foundation, wants to put to it as well. The current owners are American scholars, and there's a letter from them attached to my letter saying that they agree with our request and that the use that Andrea wants to put this to, in addition to housing for students, is compatible with housing for students. It was unique back in 2013 when council adopted the ordinance changing that lot from C1 to C, which would allow for apartments. It put a condition on it, a conditional use. And the conditional use was not just to allow any apartments or any dormitories or any hotels, but one for student housing. So that conditional use is there. What we're proposing is to add an additional use, unless you want to take the whole condition off, which we're not asking, but if that makes it simpler, you can do that too, just speaking conceptually. But what we're asking is to allow to continue as student housing and also to use compatibly as a home for single mothers who are being reunited with their minor children. And Andrea can tell you about the units. It's basically an apartment house with separate apartments, separate rooms, separate bathrooms, and the like. And she'll tell you what the use is. But we wanted you to know the current owner, who is leasing to her and talking to her about her buying the property, is fully on board with this compatible additional use. And so looking at your ordinance, we thought, well, we can't go in there and use it for our different use, because it says for student housing only. So we're asking you to add the use that Andrea will now explain.
So thank you very much for allowing me to come. And so tell me when my time is up, because I am a talker. But I actually had a chance to meet David Ho, which is the owner of the building. They recognized me from doing my TV show with WYTV. It was called Increase the Peace. And then I also did a lot of work with Youngstown City School Serving on their board. And now currently I'm on the board for Children's Services. I'm on their community board. And so because I like to put children first, when I had the opportunity to hear about this building, I said, hey, why don't you let me come by and see it? He offered it to us. So as Attorney Roberts is saying, is that our program is really compatible to what he was already doing. He had students that were here. He had some foreign students that were here that were going to various schools. They were being bussed around. Well, one of my biggest concerns has been is that there's a lot of money that comes into our county that goes to foster care, but nobody does anything to be able to help mothers keep their children. And so what I wanted to do is, it's not a drug rehab program, because that doesn't work in this what we're trying to do. What we're basically doing is taking young mothers. For example, I have the 17-year-old, her mother died when she was 14. She attends school at urban school, and she was doing well, homeless. Once her mother died, she had just nowhere to go, going from house to house. And so basically at age 17, we also provide transportation for Mahoney County Hub program, which makes sure that the infant mortality rate stays down low. We get everybody to their doctor's appointments. We talk to them while we're in the car. He talks to them about getting married and doing the right thing. And so that's always been our MO. It's not really waiting until a person is so far-fetched that you can't help them. We try to help them at the beginning of their programs. So this student is 17 years old. She has an 8-month-old baby, and she's currently pregnant. And once her mother died, she was an A1 student. She was doing great in Youngstown City Schools. Her mom passed away. She's been living from home to home to home, nowhere to go. We picked her up for transportation. We basically found out that she was homeless, and she was doing okay until she had the baby. Now, the baby's not eating right. She's feeding the baby Taco Bell at 8 months old, a pepperoni. The baby's not eating right. So when I found out that she's going to be 18 in December, I thought she's a perfect candidate for our woman's transitional home, where I got 4 months to show her how to be the best mom she knows how to be before she turns 18 years old. We just got her some SSI benefits. She didn't realize she had $900 a month coming because her mother had passed away. So now she has money coming in. She's able to take care of her child. I got 4 months to make her into the greatest mom that she can be, and then we're going to transition her right back out again. And so most of the women that will come to us, they all have to go through an interview process. They have to fit our qualifications. If they're having drug issues or they're getting out of jail, they are not going to be accepted into this home. I have another one of those that I run over on Midlothian, and I'm here to tell you I'm not bringing that issue, number one, into our Women's Center. This is a place where we're going to empower women, teach them how to become stronger, teach them how to be able to survive. So within this 4 months' time, I've really been teaching her, and it has helped so much being around other women that are there to help her. So currently in our building, we have 3 YSU students. They were the students that were here for the previous program, that enjoyed living there, that want to stay on board, that want to be part of the program. So what we're looking at with the Women's House is going to be a transitional center. Right now, I can run the center just as it is zoned right now. Students, we don't have to worry about changing the zoning at all. However, if we do decide, and you guys work with me on that, to change the zoning, I'm going to be able to reach more. And when I mean more, I'm not trying to fill that entire apartment building up, or really just the housing. It's all dormitory. It's Jack and Jill bathrooms. The women will learn how to cook. They'll learn how to take care better of their babies. Children's Services has an office where they can come in and service their clients. We have daycare centers that we're already trying to use, even teaching them how to get hired through, because we also own an employment agency that's over in the Boardman area. So we're able to really change lives. And that's all I'm trying to do. I always put kids first. I was on the school board. I couldn't accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. That's how I actually was able to meet the attorney. I've also just done everything, you know, even the TV show for 10 years, Increase the Peace Early in the Morning, making sure everybody's informed what to do, how to better yourself. That's just where my heart and my compassion is. My husband and I are both ministers, and so we want to make a difference. We just don't want to talk about it. We don't want to gather millions of dollars, well, maybe a little bit of money, but we want to gather enough money that's going to make a change. I want to see a difference. I think Struthers is going to have an opportunity to really have a chance to say, well, guess what's happening in our community. We have so many people that have already gotten behind us. I've done recruiting for the pipe fitters, Local 396, almost 15 years. I was over there yesterday. They want to come fix all my toilets now and make sure everything is running and kind of give back. We've also been working with Congressman Bill Johnson, so he's gotten behind us. He's going to try to help us get the money to be able to get a new roof put on there. And I don't know if you guys have paid any attention. The grass is being cut every 2 weeks now. Yeah. I know. Yeah. I'm making sure I got rid of all the extra trash cans. I told them to come and get them, so we're trying to keep it nice and clean. But the one thing I have to really be honest about is I grew up on the south side of Youngstown, been there since 1971, and I watched my neighborhood go from a beautiful home to just, it's turned over, and it breaks my heart. So when I drive through this community, I start to smile again, like, wow, this is what it's like to really drive through a clean community, because I thought that my community would always be the same as it was. So I don't want there to be concerns. I want to address that up front to let you know that I definitely want to be part of it. And we've also painted our doors a very, very light pink. And so we're going to put some flowers on it. And so we don't want to overdo it, but we want to fit in with the neighborhood. But most of all, we want to call it home for women that are going to be coming in and going right back out again. I got a short time to change lives. This is not going to be their permanent residency. I know that was asked before. Do we count them as residents? It's not their permanent residency. We're going to bring them in. We're going to make changes. And I thought, wow, I didn't pick Struthers. Struthers picked me. The building called my name to come. And here I am. And then to find out that you have the first female mayor in Struthers right now, it kind of all ties into it. So I'm ready to have some fun, raise some money, do some new things, and just be part of the community.
Well, I don't have a whole lot to say. I just kind of was happy to, the mayor expressed concern, and I'm sure the neighbors, regarding the upkeep of the building. I believe you probably have noticed that it's a lot better now. We just spent some money on the roof and some other things, so we're community people, and we don't change, no intentions of changing the use of the building for what it's already zoned for. We just want to make sure we update it and keep it better than it was before, so there's no concern as far as the neighborhood and the community.
And we wanted to come to you first. We didn't want to start a new program and then someone say, hey, that's different than student housing. So we wanted to come to you first and do it together with you and get your acknowledgement and approval so that we're all on the same page moving forward. And as you can see from how Andrea described some of the programming, the young mothers who will be there will essentially be students, learning how to be mothers, learning how to do the things that she wants to bring to that. So whether they're enrolled in a school or not, they will be students of her life teachings. Yes?
How long have you been running your organization?
Well, actually, our employment agency started in 2015. That's when we started changing lives. But I was the first person to start the Welfare to Work program with the county. And so that was back in 2007. So I started developing jobs. I found resources. We put almost 600 people to work. Now, as far as the transitional housing is concerned, the one on Midlothian has been up and running for 3 years now, in 2020 up until 2023. And so this one right here has just now been open, maybe 2 months, 3 months, and right now we have 2 individuals.
Do you have any references that we can talk to?
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. The whole city, the whole county. I mean, really, whoever you would want to talk to.
Well, I'm
if
just
you
saying,
wanted
do you
to.
have any reference of people that we can go talk to?
Absolutely. I would love, there are people that would love to just come before you and just share. Our 17-year-old, we're preparing her for our first fundraiser. She's going to be one of our guest speakers at the dinner to talk about how her life was on the street and how it's changed. And she's only going to be there for 4 months. And so life is definitely going to change for her. And people from both Trumbull County and Mahoney County Children's Services, I volunteered with them for the last 10 years. So they would be more than glad to speak on my behalf. Actually, they want me to come work for them, but I can't punch that clock no more.
One more question.
Yes, sir.
And do you have any printed material that we can look at that talks about your...
I actually do, yes, sir. I didn't bring it with me today.
That's fine.
Sure, but we also have a website, and we also have a new Facebook page that's being developed, and it actually covers both of our locations. And I think that was some of the concern, because at our other location, we do reentry. We do men that are coming home from prison. We do guys that are coming home from Teen Challenge, because I used to teach classes over at Teen Challenge as well. And then we have people that are coming from Children's Services. So when those kids turn 18 years of age, they have nowhere to go. But Children's Services only wants to send me the bad boys. So I keep them over on the boardman side because that's where most of my men are. They can serve as mentors. My husband is up with them at 5:30 in the morning, helping them get to work, running them to Rulli Brothers, running them to, I don't know, he's running them all over the place. And so I was like, I'm gonna charge you guys for stealing my husband, because we're newlyweds, for stealing my husband away from me.
If
But
you could get the references and the printed material on your organization to us at your convenience, that'd be appreciated.
I most definitely will have that for you just in a couple days here.
Whatever, but
We'll send
just
it through the mail.
something for us to, or you can forward it to our
That
clerk.
would be fine.
Okay.
We'll get those.
Yeah, definitely. But the name is the Andrea Mahone Foundation. I'm a black man now, but one of the things that they really pushed me to do was to call the foundation by Andrea Mahone, because when people hear that name, they know they're going to get the help that they need. It's not going to just be smoke blown up their nose. They're really going to get the help that they need, and that's what I pride myself on. So when you guys need jobs, you let me know. I got employment.
How long do your women need to stay there?
You know what? Everything is done case by case, but it's usually a very short time. So the girl that I have 2 ladies there right now. So my one student, she'll actually turn 18 in December. She's ready to go, but Children's Services won't release her. So they asked me to take her on. So she's there for 4 months. The other student that we have, she actually just graduated, but she was at the homeless shelter during her stint over at YSU. But she got divorced during that time, and they just left her with nothing. So she's only with us for 1 month. And Catholic Charities is sent her to go through the program. And then I have one girl that wanted to come, but all she didn't need housing. She just needed to get her children back, and her court was all the way down in Steubenville, and nobody from around here would take her, and she didn't have an Uber. So we just drove her down to court. The judge gave her children back, and we were able to go ahead and put her in housing immediately. She didn't even need to be here. So a lot of people that we're going to take into the program won't even have to stay within the housing.
Are the kids there as well?
Kids, yes sir, yes sir. Right now we have the 8-month-old, and then she's currently pregnant. We have a room that's called the Hope Room. Children's Services had what was called a Hope House, and it was given to them by one of the women's organizations, and then they found out that the law said that they couldn't give a house to the government, so Children's Services lost it. But that's where children had a chance to go and meet with their moms and have a safe place to be on a supervised visit. So there may be even times when Children's Services will just come there to have a supervised visit with the mom, and she doesn't even live in the house.
So what are the cases where they're not allowed to have visitation with their kids?
What are the cases?
Yeah.
Just if they did something unsafe and they didn't take care of their children, and something happened to the child, or a police report was made, or hospital issue was made, then the children are taken from the mom. And so we take the mom through a reunification program. And then once she meets all of the court-ordered that the judge put down for her, her children can come and visit, but then they have to leave. And then once the court gives her children back, then we find her another apartment where her and her children can go and live.
Is there any problems with the fathers of these children?
Fathers are not allowed in the household. The only guys that are allowed in our building are going to be staff or any other members that are coming in that are with Children's Services. Fathers are not allowed at the household. But we don't take domestic violent crimes cases, because I have no way to keep
I'm more
them safe.
concerned about the surrounding area.
Sure.
Fathers are
Yes.
watching and see where they get them.
Yes. There's too many other agencies out there that provide that service, so that's a lot of competition. That's not the service that we're after. We're after being able to come in and make a quick change, empower a woman, and bring her on to what she needs to do. I stood outside the other day as school released out, and I watched kids just all over the place. And I get joy because I love the kids, but as I watched the kids all over the place, it was definitely a reassurance that we made the right decision not to take high crime cases, but to take cases where moms have that emergency need, help them out, get them what they need, and get them back going again.
So you have one that's there, going to be there for 4 months. Where will she go after?
What we're gonna do is actually, she has family down in Columbus. She has an older sister in Columbus. So she's probably getting ready to get a check for about, what did I say, about $65,000? Because she has all this money that's coming back to her that she never received
From SSI.
from SSI. And the thing about it is, if nobody shows her how to use that, it's gonna be all over the place. So I've been used as her payee, so we're gonna set her up a place in Columbus, get her a car. So my husband is working with her now to try to pass her driver's license test and get her permit. And then we'll be moving her on to Columbus with her 2 children. And her second child is actually gonna be born in January. So we're hoping to get her settled by her 18, at 18 she wants to go. And so we're gonna remove her from here and take her down to Columbus because she has family that can help her. She just can't leave now because she's not 18 and Judge Jelly won't emancipate her out.
And we still have international students, so they're still there also.
Mhm.
Are they gonna be there, or are you not gonna do students anymore, you're still gonna do students?
Still,
Yes, yes.
still,
Mhm.
So how are you able to do these women now in this building, but we have to change?
because they're students.
Because they're actually
They're actually
students.
students.
So when I found out that the concern was here, during my interview, I added on some more prereqs. And one of them was, you must be enrolled in some type of training or some type of school in order to be there, because that's what our zoning is permitting. So right now, I probably have about 10 women who have been wanting to come, and I've had to refer them off to other places.
But
And
is it a bad thing that they have to be students? Shouldn't they be going to school and learning?
well, you know
Trade or
what?
whatever?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
In fact, we have a gentleman, is it Marco, he's a professor, he teaches
At
at
Ursuline.
So, he was there previously, so, we've allowed him to still tutor, a lot of the students. Some of them are going to YSU.
Mhm,
and, some-
He teaches Italian up at Ursuline, and he's a really great Italian cook too. So he's able to come in and teach some of the classes. So he's been doing that, but he was part of the program
But
prior.
is that a problem for that being a requirement? I mean, then we wouldn't have to change the zoning.
That's what I'm saying. That
Sherry,
if
what she's saying is she did that. These are all students that are gonna be there.
I know, but she wants
But
us
she
to
wants-
change it.
if we're able, go ahead.
We could get some older women who are not students,
Mhm.
and you could maybe make them be students, but right now, we're trying to comply
Well, I'm
and,
just thinking, in
I
order
understand.
for a woman to move on in her life, she should be educated in something.
well,
To
and,
be able to do the job or get a job or do something.
and that's exactly what this program
So-
does. As we said earlier,
So why do we need to change this one?
Well, we
Just
don't
make that a
have to.
requirement.
we don't have to, but it gives them the flexibility. Right now, even with the women who are in there, and additional women, if they're not students at the university or students in a high school, maybe they're in between, they're still getting education in this program at the housing there on
But that's
Fifth.
not an educational facility.
It is not, but they're still students of those life skills that are being taught. So,
But
we didn't want to try to play those games with you. That's
Right.
why we're trying to be upfront
I
and be
understand,
clear.
but you're saying they're getting educated there, but that's not actually an education facility.
Correct.
Correct.
That's why we didn't want to play that game. We wanted to be upfront with you and say, you know, we might have students in there that are in high school and have a child
Yeah.
and need our services, but we might not have someone who's a student. Maybe they're
But
already
if they're-
graduated, maybe they're not going to school, but they need these parenting services. So we wanted to be able to provide services to them as well as the others.
So do you need to get certified as a teaching facility?
Well, what we're working on right now, well, two things to just answer to try to clear it a little bit is I worked as a college recruiter with Eastern Gateway Community College. So we have a program down there that's called TRIO. So they're always calling saying, hey, Andrea, help us with this, help us with that. We have this student, we have that student. Some of those students are 30 years old. So they're not all your student age, but they are still actually have dropped out from Eastern Gateway Community College and would love to be able to come into this program where they're receiving empowerment type courses. That's the reason why I said at the beginning of my presentation, I can do nothing but students and make the whole entire program work. If we open it up and make it to a wider range, I'm going to be able to help more individuals. But it doesn't mean that I have to go outside of that. And so if you take a look at all the agencies throughout Mahoney County, you have your women's shelters, you have your battered women shelters, you have your homeless solutions. Those are all people who are not ready for my program. They are going to need to be top-notch. They're going to need to be empowered. We're going to show them how to change their faith, how to change their thinking, how to be able to handle their money, and most of all, how to be able to start their own business. So we've already helped 5 people start their own businesses, and now they become entrepreneurs. So our biggest thing is with the Andrea Mahone Foundation Academy. We're looking at getting some property over on South Avenue and even opening up a pet grooming where the ladies can go and learn how to do pet grooming. It's $200 to get their license. They'll go to school for that, just like they go for cosmetology, but instead of doing human hair, they'll be doing dog hair. Now they can go and open up their own business and begin to grow. People are grabbing to be able to come and to be part of that. So right now, because we are a startup and the building has been afforded to us, I'm going to need to do what the community is calling for me to be able to do first. So if that means have students, I'm going to be able to build the business off of students. And as my attorney was saying, is that if we decide to open the door up to a little bit of a broader range, then we can do that if we change the, what's it called, the zoning.
Condition.
Yep.
Conditional
But
use.
we don't have to do it in order to be able to move forth and to get it going and maybe come back to you in the future and ask for it.
So what you're saying is you're gonna comply with the
Oh.
city's ordinance regardless,
I have to.
Absolutely.
right? And you're
Well,
in,
you already are.
and you are at this point,
Yes.
right?
Yes, sir. Yes, we're already operating.
However, you will be able to help more people if we are willing to loosen up that requirement a little bit. That is,
Absolutely.
in a nutshell, what you're saying,
Sure,
correct?
sure. And if you want to do it a year down the road or 2 years down the road, whatever the case is, I want to be honest with you. As he was saying, I want you to understand our intentions of what it is that we're trying to do. Even you might have a granddaughter that just can't seem to get it together. My 17-year-old girl has never been in jail. She has never been handcuffed. She has never had any type of violent crimes or any type of issues. Her mother died, and her siblings weren't old enough to take care of her. That's a very common thing, especially with the COVID that's gone on. People have lost their homes. It's just been a lot. So we're just trying to fill one little piece of gap that nobody else is doing it, but we're doing it in such a way that's different from what everybody else does. So I've got to start with my success cases. I cannot deal with the drug addict clean one day and during 30 the next. It will dismantle every single thing that we took to build this up. So we have a home. I painted my doors pink. I'm excited about it. We have all brand new dishes and pots and pans. We have Mahoney County 4-H is coming in, and they're going to teach classes for 10 weeks about how to stretch your food out. Huh?
You can't have chickens.
No, we have roosters. The roosters. Or capons, you know, the ones that have been snipped already. So just to let you know, I also sit on the board with 4-H. And probably the first black person that's ever been on their community board. They had to teach me the difference between hay and straw, but now I got it. But even some of those girls, we started 4-H programs all throughout the entire Youngstown city area. So it's all about enhancement and making changes.
You mentioned chickens. You wouldn't believe downtown Miami, they actually have chickens
Everywhere.
walking around.
Wow.
Yeah.
Miami, Florida, really?
Miami,
Courthouse,
Florida.
everything.
My wife, she didn't believe it. We walked to the courthouse and it was dusk. And I said, this is where the chickens sleep. I don't know if you all knew it. They sleep
Yeah.
in the
They
trees.
sleep in trees.
Downtown Miami.
Yeah.
Oh, you know.
Yes.
But Miami proper.
Yeah.
Miami proper. The city of Miami. Yeah.
So the one last thing that I want to bring up, and I know you guys haven't mentioned it tonight, and I might hang myself with it, but parking is an issue with this building. So I'm definitely going over, we've been trying to get an appointment with the church. We want to make a donation to the church every single month, maybe even pay him up 6 months in advance to be able to use the last 2 rows of his parking. I wouldn't think that we would need more than 6 to 10 parking spaces, but I don't like parking on the street. I don't like all dropping out of cars. I just don't like that area at all.
Since you brought that up,
Okay.
back when they first took over that building, they agreed to do something
I
about the
heard.
parking, and Bob might remember. They agreed to take some of them trees down, and you could put 6, 8 vehicles there from Wilson to the front of the building, and they never followed through with that. But that's just an idea
Sure.
to give you a half a dozen spots.
Yep.
Because there's not much there you could do with that property,
No.
whether it's a playground or whatever, because there's a court in the back there where you
Yes.
can use for
Yes,
sitting
yes.
or whatever.
Yes.
But that section right there from the driveway to their garage
Yes.
to like the front of the building, they were supposed to take them trees down and make that off-road park.
Yes, and you know what, the neighbors talked to me about that, of course. And then the people across the street at Purple Cat, a lot of people that work at Purple Cat, I got them their jobs there. So they recognized me when I came up, and so I was asking about the parking. But when I seen how busy the school was, I still like the parking at the church. Because it's just too much traffic coming, going, kids are just everywhere. It's a very, very congested corner. So, and we're both ministers, so I would rather, the church doesn't get somebody to come along very often and say, hey, here's $100, $150 a month for parking, we want to pay you in advance. And so that's going to be something that I'm going to do, even if I need to pay it to the mayor and make sure that it gets paid. It gets paid to the church, but it's my concern as well. Being a former school board member, a lot of accidents can happen with children, and I kind of don't want that responsibility. So I'm really excited about, I've already peeked out his parking, and during my time of campaigning, I know that the bingo hall is very crowded time too. So I'm very aware of that corner. I've been studying it, even to the part too. I kind of want a fence around that corner too. I just like a little white picket fence here, just to make it kind of brighten up and make it look school, you know, fun for the kids.
I think when State Rep Al Controller came and walked through, he was going to set an appointment, I think, with Father, is it Rogers?
Father Rogers, yeah.
To meet us and talk about some parking over there, so.
Sure. Because we've been parking our cars on the street, and we're getting ready to get another van, because we know a lot of our women will not have, their students are not going to have transportation, so we checked out where all the bus stops are at, but we still want a van there to be able to run to the grocery stores, run to Walmart, do things that need to be done, so we're working that out. And the kids that are there prior, they already have that all set in motion for us. So it is a work in progress. We're taking it from the ground up. We're excited about it, and anytime that you feel you want to call us in and talk with us, I'm open to that.
And you won't have the issues that you had. We're here. We're
Yeah.
not.
Well, those were
Well,
boys
that's what I was
too.
gonna say too. So you guys understand the concern that we have because
Oh,
of the location of it.
yeah,
That's-
definitely.
Our church is right there, our middle school's right there. So anything coming in and out, I can tell you every single neighbor, every single person that drives by, they call everyone here. They call our council, they call our administration. So if we don't have answers for them,
Sure.
then it looks bad on us. But we don't want, and since you guys have taken over, the grass has been cut, I saw them leave.
I'm
back in
trying.
today. It was an issue because those neighbors, they call and they said, why is this grass 7
would
inches
call
instead
too.
of 6? So it's nothing, it's not a
No.
personal, it's just the location of that, it's a high traffic area. It's one of our nicest corners in the city.
And we're not absentee. We're right here, so
Yeah.
it's, you won't have that issue.
Now, there still are students there from American Scholars, correct?
Mhm.
So are you taking those students on, or how is that going to work?
Yes.
You're taking those students on,
Mhm.
okay.
So are you a nonprofit organization or are you for-profit?
We are a nonprofit organization, and so we are a foundation.
Okay. So where do you get most of your funding from?
Whatever you want to donate to us tonight is what we're going to use.
We're having a dinner next month.
Okay.
We have a capital campaign where I'm not going to say trying to We have a goal of $1.5 million, and we just want to do some improvements to the building.
Mhm.
And we have Judge Diapolito, the Director of Mental Health. They're all on board, and Congressman Johnson has graciously earmarked some money for us to do what we need to do to keep the building up to date. So they're all, when you ask for referrals, they've been there, they've toured, they know who we are, and so they're all on board.
So monthly money comes in from Catholic Charities, from Children's Services, and also from MyCap. So wherever there's a need, they make referrals to me, and they say, hey, we got somebody for the Andrew Mahone Foundation. They have to go through an application process, so we really don't deal with emergency services. They have to go through an application process, they have to be interviewed, and they have to either be in school or be willing to work or doing both, and they have to be in the process of getting their children back. We need to see the court documents to see exactly where you are. If it's something where I'm not going to really be able to help you get your children back and do reunification, there's not a whole lot I can do. There's no need in me bringing you there. That's why our numbers are small right now, and we'll let them grow gradually as need begins to get stronger. We're almost the best kept secret because we do more beyond and more beyond than what anybody else inside the county does. And that's why Children's Services has been like, wow, girl, where have you been? And the only reason why God gave me the idea to come up with it is because so many children were falling through the cracks in Children's Services. People were being sent out of the county. They weren't for sure what to really be able to do with these students. Nobody's teaching them how to cook or how to go to the grocery store or how to take care of their children. And everybody just started putting money into foster care. We need foster parents. And I said, no, God told me specifically, so we call it Zion, when daughters of Zion, gather your children and rise up. That means get your children, do the right thing, become the best mom you can, get back in school, get your education, do what needs to be done, rise up, and let's put you out on your own. We're not there to baby them, they're not there to live long term. In our other apartment building, a little bit longer because they're so comfortable. But in this one is designed to keep you going. So your first day during your interview, we do what's called a life map. Where are you at? Where are you going? What is your grade point average like? We have a tutor that lives in the house. We need to help you get up and go, and we need to make sure that you're deciding what your good career path is.
I was down at Urban Scholars 3 times today.
Yeah, you were.
We just got a couple of young men out of other buildings, and so I hadn't been in high school for a long time, 3 times today.
It's just different.
So will there be male students in there?
No, the doors are pink. They wouldn't stay there if they wanted to.
So it will be all female?
It's going to be female. The only males that are allowed inside the building is, of course, my husband, any of our workers, or any of the social workers that are coming in from other agencies. But right now, we're not taking any males. It is a house designed for students, women, and their children.
And age isn't, it's not a matter of you're just taking under 18-year-old women. I mean, that has nothing to do, it just so happens this one girl is 17.
Sure.
That you have. Okay.
Yes.
So how will you, I guess, vet these people, that you're taking in?
Well, I'm a mastermind at that. Okay. So I have a master's in human services.
Okay. And
I work with Job and Family Services for a very long time. So I have kind of learned how to question what needs to be known, and my eye can kind of catch what we're trying to do and what we're trying to achieve. So somebody that comes in that just really wants to work at a grocery store, save a lot, this is not the program for them. We're after girls who want to be educated, who want to make something out of their lives. We're after students who have fallen on a hard time but can get right back up. We have students that want to go to law school. We have students that want to do a little bit of everything. And so that's what we're looking to do. But if you happen to get divorced during that time, if your parent happens to die during that time, if you happen to have really bad grades and nobody's there to help you and this is your last year, I was put out of YSU twice. because my grade point average was low. And I really struggled because I couldn't stay focused on what I needed to do. So I knew that I needed something different. So I transferred to Kent State University, and that's where I was able to get my undergrad degree, and then went on to Liberty University to get my master's. It was not easy for me. I wasn't one of the top students. I never had children, and so that's what I was adopted. My mother was a foster care, so I started taking care of children probably by the time I was 8 years old. People coming in foster care in the middle of the night, and I was like, not under my watch. As long as I can, I will help somebody be the best mom that they can and help them survive and to overcome all their obstacles. And that's what we do, and I'm pretty good at it. So we open our doors to have you come in and invite. We were going to do an open house so everybody could come in and just see what it looks like, see what the dormitory is set up, see how the tables are set up, and how everybody can eat together, you know, in one meal. What our transportation schedules are like are all on the refrigerator, so we know what school's open and what time, and what drivers are going to be taking them back and forth. And then we decided to wait. I wanted to see what the school traffic was like before we do an open house, so we decided not to do it at 2 o'clock in the middle of the day, but wait and do it at 3:30 to 5 o'clock, so that it's after school. We're not bringing any extra traffic in during that time. So that's what we're going to do. So we invite you guys to come in, and thank you. I told you to give me a timeout.
7 o'clock, that's good.
Okay.
We appreciate the questions, and we hope you appreciate all the answers, and look forward to your decision.
And we'll get that written material out.
That's fine, when you get time.
Okay, no problem.
So I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for coming in and explaining what you do, how
Yeah,
you do it, and what part you're going to take in the community.
yeah, I'm looking forward to coming over and make some cookies.
I think it's a
Thank you
all
so
very
much.
Thank you, Mary.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. See you. And John?
Always a pleasure, Judge.
Anybody have anything else?
Ron, good to see you.
Finance and legislation.
Thank you.
Mr. Patrick, anything down there from finance and legislation? Okay, everybody kind of digest what we got tonight. Everybody read over this literature that
Remember,
Mr. Benson has
We can
given
make whatever
us.
kind of changes to it that you want, but I think that's written out fairly well.
And,
We'll see. I mean, it's not, that has to be changed for Ohio Revised Code and our ordinance. So there's a lot of changes that have to be made to that. But the concept itself, I think, is very good.
I'll be the judge of that. No, I appreciate
I
it.
think you'll even.
Anybody, anything for this committee? We'll call for adjournment. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned.